Because if you are not a healthy mother, there is nothing you can give. And I think she's an interesting person to know. I'm just making an introduction.
Bring her next time. Yeah.
Valentina?
I think it really doesn't matter now. No, it's okay. No, Banu, it's okay because I'm just dwelling upon that unclothing of women. Yeah. So now it's okay. You want me to think aloud? It's my thinking aloud, you know. When we talk about unclothing of women, I think it's not only in your respective areas, even in Northeast India, because we have this problem of insurgency, breaking away from Indian state. So when the army, you know, they do a lot of atrocities against women. So when at one point of time in Imphal, they have done the same thing. They unclothed themselves. You know, because when we dwell on this, it reflects what? It reflects our nature-culture relationship. Because when you are clothed, you are a cultured person. And being a cultured person with so much progress, there is so much atrocities against women. So when the women, they unclothed, it is not, you know, for any other reason. But they are saying that you have taken my dignity, our dignity. Can you give back our dignity? Can you clothe us? You know, that is the meaning of, it's symbolic. It is the nature, culture, you know. And this, for me, it is very symbolic, this unclothing of women. Because no woman would like to unclothe in a public place. But when, you know, they have been suppressed so much, they resort to the last straw they have. To the last straw they have. That's what I want to dwell upon them.
Angela? Marina?
Yo entiendo
I understand
que nuestra lucha
that our struggle
es cómo quitarle el poder al patriarcado.
is how to retrieve power from patriarchy.
Pero no para hacer otro poder como ellos,
But not to generate a different power like theirs.
sino cómo sacarlo de nuestras mentes y nuestros corazones.
It's how to get it out of our minds and our hearts.
Todos, mujeres y
All
hombres,
of women and men,
jóvenes y niños. Y
young men and young girls.
entonces yo creo que un primer paso
And I
es
believe that the first step
valorar el trabajo de subsistencia,
is to give value to subsistence work.
estar orgullosas y buscar siempre la manera de hacer ese trabajo
To be proud of that and to look for ways of carrying that out.
y compartirlo con
And share it
todos,
with
todas,
everybody,
con la familia, con...
the family.
¿Por qué? Porque el trabajo de la casa, el de
Because
subsistencia,
the subsistence work that is done at home,
el mismo patriarcado le puso un valor inferior.
patriarchy has devalued.
Bueno, entonces, ¿cómo hacer
How to do that?
cómo ponernos otros lentes
How to put the glasses on
para ver la vida
to see life
y todo lo que hacemos?
and all that we are doing.
Porque parece que ahora las mujeres, para sentirse valoradas, tienen que hacer lo mismo que los hombres.
That because it seems as though today for women to consider themselves of some value, they have to do the same things as men do.
Entonces yo creo que
And I believe
se debe, necesitamos luchar para que se cambie esa perspectiva.
that we need to struggle to change that perspective.
Lo que decía creo que de Finlandia,
Somebody, Karina, was
cambiar
saying that
los conceptos que tenemos.
we have to change our concepts.
Es que como los conceptos del patriarcado no podemos ver otras realidades.
Because of the patriarchy, of the way patriarchy sees life, we cannot see our realities.
Entonces, ¿cómo hacerlo? Me pregunto.
I ask myself how to do that.
Yo creo, les voy a decir, se debe cambiar esa
We
metodología.
should change the methodology.
Creo que es muy importante la metodología de los matriarcados,
It's very important the methodology of matriarchy.
hacer ver más la cuestión del medio ambiente,
To bring forward the environment,
una relación
a
horizontal
horizontal relationship
entre las investigadoras y las comunidades.
between the academy and communities.
Inventar otros conceptos.
We have to invent all concepts.
También creo que necesitamos que se traduzcan libros, es una propuesta.
We suggest that the books should be translated into Spanish.
Sí, porque en español no hay libros casi sobre
In
matriarcados,
Spanish, there are not very much of matriarchy.
ni siquiera sobre ni la economía del don.
Not even for the gift economy. Yes.
Yo creo que hay hombres que podrían también, nuestros hijos,
I think there are men that also could participate, our sons.
necesitan leer, aprender de todo
Needs
esto
to
también.
learn and needs to study all what we are talking about.
Se necesita compartir las vidas de las madres, cómo es otra forma de medicina, de relacionarse.
We need to share the lives of women to see that, to show that that is a different form of relating to each other.
Resaltando su fortaleza a pesar del patriarcado.
So that we could enhance their strengths in spite of patriarchy.
Difundir otras formas de medicina,
We should share different forms of medicine,
otras formas de espiritualidad.
other forms of spirituality.
Ujú. Y todo esto puede llevar a un cambio de actitud.
All this should take us to a change of attitude.
La actitud patriarcal es lo que debe de
That
cambiar,
attitude has to change.
de hombres, de mujeres y
Men
de hombres.
and women.
Yo creo que sería muy importante difundir,
I think
hacer
it's important
videos,
to make
películas,
videos, films,
programas de radio,
radio programs,
tener un sitio de internet donde podamos obtener
an
información,
internet site where we could get information.
porque aunque estamos lejos, pero
Because
ya
we are far,
hay cosas que sí nos
there are
pueden
things
servir,
that could be useful to us.
porque el patriarcado está en todos lados.
Patriarchy is everywhere.
Está sobre todo en la televisión, en el internet, en las telenovelas que reproducen los modelos patriarcales, la familia nuclear, todo
Soap
eso.
operas that reproduce.
A mí me gustaría que fueran alguna vez a platicar a Juchitán. Yo puedo ofrecer mi casa para que vayan, lleguen. Allí yo les puedo ofrecer comida, alojamiento.
You are welcome. I would like you all to come sometime to Cuchitán. I could offer you food and I could offer you a place to stay.
Oh, very nice. Danica is next.
We talk about the patriarchy, but I'm still kind of caught between what I see as this incredible need to model the patriarchal institutions. It's very institutionalized thinking here. And a lot of times we don't usually measure that within ourselves. So I think as we're suggesting all these ideas, we're still attending to maybe just the academia side. And as far as mentoring, and how successful the business model is, well, that's just great. But I don't want to mentor my daughter into the patriarchy or into destruction and how to be destructive. And I think we already have the mothering here. We had the midwifery. We have the grandmothers. We have the wise women. We have to really capture all of them here. Jen's work, Heidi's work. And so we have to set up our mother's way, our female ways of doing this. And what I found very empowering for me, where I didn't have any funding, even my website was given as a gift. And yet, that website does not give me as much network as by the women I work with and their word of mouth. And that's what happened for me with this group. It was basically word of mouth. It wasn't any of this literature that you're talking about. None. And it was because I met somebody, or I met Heidi, or I met this, or I did that. And that's what's really compelling about this group. And what also I'm really concerned about is that when we immerse ourselves and we're unconscious about the patriarchy and how we're modeling it through how we're going to approach these things, we lose the feminine. We lose our sense of agency. And the fact is that the mother herself, the daughter herself, manifests culture. We can artificially make it, just like the men and the patriarchy have done, but it's going to get us the same way. It's a lot of energy spent, but not directly on essentially what is that of the mother, and what role do we have coming up, and let alone attending to it. So I'd like to have an agency that not just divides and segments and just says, okay, we'll keep academia here, we're going to keep this over here, and we're going to keep the women that I work with. I'm on the line, I'm on the firing line, and they're the majority. How can I include them? I mean, I think about how can I get Jen over there? You know, it'd be kind of dangerous at times some of the places, but you know, I'm just thinking about how to bring the messengers to them, and vice versa. And I would like to see more agency and approach in a very feminine way. I mean, there were some very profound comments from Wahoo and from Heidi, you know, and your response back to it. It still did that synergy, and I think if you approach this, because everything you have here is just extraordinarily feminine, and then when we reduce it down to that, other patriarchal concern, because we're acting like patriarchs at times. Where when I get indoctrinated, I'm surprised how I'll do things like that. So let's question this about ourselves.
I would request people to make their comments short. It's Lydia's turn. Short.
I have an example that the Girl Scouts of America and the world teach citizenship and participation in community. And I have no clue if you could get some kind of a gift economy, Mother World badge for the Girl Scouts of the world. But that would get it down to other generations. And I've seen evidence of this politically. Emily's List organized to elect women in the United States 25 years ago, Ellen Malcolm's vision. They showed up in Denver with the elected women, over 300 now, and they charged the young Girl Scouts who were there to carry on, because they will be the elected people in the future. 80% of the women elected in the U.S. were Girl Scouts.
Wow. Mirla? Yes.
I was a Girl Scout leader. Guess what? And my girls and granddaughters.
Yes. I'm the quietest in this conference. I came on my own, for my own personal transformation. So I didn't make big goals of, you know, how I'm going to bring this. But I understand that in the work that I'm doing, there must be a framework, an alternative framework for the women. And I work very deeply in the grassroots level. So that thing about making it more understood in the communities is very important. I told Frida that it's hard, wow, to be a third world activist and intellectual. You know how hard it is, because you struggle with survival, you struggle with militarization, you know, you struggle with all these things, and then you still have to elevate your thoughts into this intellectual level, while you are supposed to be, you know, making people understand these principles, liberating principles, so you will be able to move them to action. So it's like, I told Frida, it's like the exact opposite of what we are doing in the communities. But I'm not giving this challenge to the, I see the academe as allies. who have clarified and did research on these very important matters. And I know that there is a very strong nationalistic feeling of looking at this as a Western paradigm coming to the Philippines. But I've been having small discussions with Heidi about possibly giving the book and having discussions with some women leaders to see if there's an addition. Because anyway, the Philippine movement was not totally indigenous in terms of, we also benefited from the foreign theories and the experience of struggles of different nations. So I'm very much open about bringing it for a discussion with some women leaders, with all cultural humility to those who are working more than I am working on these particular issues. And then, yeah, I think I will not challenge the academe for now because I know how hard it is for you to fight against patriarchy in your own, but maybe to stand as an ally in trying to see how you can make it, more understood, more materials that, which will help not only the grassroots but the women who are not into these theoretical, debates. I remember, Jen, when I first came into this theories, you had this drawing of patriarchy and money. that was good. I mean, things like that, and your books, and the songs, they're also very good. They're very good materials. So this is only what I can say.
Where are you from?
From the Philippines,
And what was your name?
Mirla Maldonado. So I won't say much because I only say what I can commit to.
It's so much.
Yes?
It's not important to speak. I can.
Say what you want to say.
I think. C'est difficile. I think we are, as women, very naive. On dit naïf? Hein?
Yes,
Naïf. The patriarchy forces are more strong as we think. I think in all our life, in Germany, in Europe, we are all patriarchalized. And we have two, thank you, we have two languages. The official language in the university, I think so, and we have the second, the motherless, and the oral speaking, the language. On this oral speaking language comes from the inner from a woman. You give birth, you give the forces. The patriarchal level has only the two parts. We, women, we have three parts. We have the pregnancy, the forces of the earth. We forget that the earth is not the earth is under. The under, do you understand? The under earth is the under earth for the woman. The shaman live with the under forces of the earth, with the under success. I can fly as a woman, as a shaman, a man, shaman, comment on dit, il a besoin, needs a woman. It's true, I know this. You can see in North Africa, all the shaman men, or Muslim, etc., have a woman. Have only a one. A woman can alone make shamanism. And I think we are the mostly the part of feminine of women is we have to take again our feminine, our forces, our women forces. And I think we cannot make this only on side, because the patriarchy take our the patriarchal world needs our woman power. And we give, as women, as mother, we give. But it's giving on a
Monetary.
yes. And I think we forget that the patriarchal world very strong is.
Yes.
And if we want to make something, we have to have vision. Okay, but vision, you cannot have vision if you don't have roots.
Yes.
Okay? I think the indigenous, I think the matriarchal studies are very important to make clear what is the pattern, what can I make with this. I have many problems in Germany and in France to tell to the people the mother is the mother for the sons. It is very difficult.
Yes.
They don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't understand. I said, I can make a woman, I can make a man. Ah oui, your hand. Yeah. It's very difficult to understand. It is a reality. And I think it is very bad to tell to the children, Papa make comment on dit une graine? The father seems in the back. No, it's not true.
That's right.
It's not true. The woman can only make a baby if she can, here, in the hypophyse, she give an hormone to make a baby.
Right.
You can make seems it's not bringing. And that is, I think we have to work with these thoughts. It's only one example. I cannot
Did you want to respond on that?
Yeah, I just want to strengthen what she has put, because sometimes in these discourses we forget we are talking about society, where you have men, women, children, and all other members of the society. And when we are talking about patriarchy, I think we also get besieged by almost seeing like every man is a beneficiary of that. But patriarchy is only a well-defined instrument to expedient interest of the very privileged. And in our times, the top corporates who wheel the power of the world, from military hardware to pharmaceutical to agribusiness, we know them and we can name them. So if we are to make any agency of social transformation, from my point of view, and I think that's why you are affirming that we need to redefine within the strategic way forward we are taking and how we work. Like in my country, the immediate thing is to liberate the men. The men are the ones who are in problem in matters of thinking, in matters of their spirituality, in matters of how the male gender has been used in the destruction of life throughout this time. So I like saying the agency of social transformation falls on women because of our exclusion, our disposition, which has allowed us to emerge with innovative and creativity to be able to construct society differently within the basis of the inherent natural, organic, arrangement of life. And that's why matriarchy cannot go to extinct, no matter how much they want to destroy it, because it's the heartbeat of real life. They have used a lot of energy to dismantle, to erase, and to construct society in new images for consumption. But it's still the element that holds life, which has the basis of matriarchy, cannot be erased in totality. So these are the ashes and the remnants that we need to take. And the men are our immediate concern in trying to construct men who can live within the domain of motherhood, so that they are also fathers in the sense of fathering life and taking care of life and being responsible to life and appreciating the interdependence, like you have put, that the man requires the woman to fly and the woman can actually fly, but you are flying to where? Alone. You must fly with others. So all what there is, I think, in this new feminism discourse, which the academia must help us, like I said the other day, is to locate the truism of feminism as the thinking that must guide agents of transformation. And we must watch out, because that's what the corporate and the neoliberal expediency is trying to do. They are quickly taking the women to construct them now to fit in the matriarchy arrangement to serve the expediency, because actually patriarchy has collapsed. They have used the man to the worst and to the destruction. So the man can't hold them anymore, but they are trying to get the woman to fit in the patriarchy arrangement. So for me, and especially from the part of the world that I come, it is the question of locating the experience of the West through your feminist struggles, the women's movement, and see how we are not swindled again in women being constructed to reconstruct the experience of patriarchy, like history has always shown. So we must learn how are we going to liberate our men, and that's why language, new visions, new life worlds, new interdependence relationship constructed on only one vision, that ultimately we must be able to defend and to sustain life, both for human and also that sustains humanity. And I think the issue of poverty, the issue of climate change gives us the framework to be able to construct this matriarchal energy for the world that we must construct.
I'm inspired by Wahoo. I was just thinking the problem with the patriarchy is that maybe it's dying, and we have to cope with it dying, and what we are going to do with what's left, all the wreckage they've left. But I think we have to start being immediately practical, and in the sense of making work our visions in the world. One of the things I was thinking is, I often tell my graduate students, I'm in academia and I have many of the same worries that Kelly has. I've been fired from academia. I don't know which is best.
Join company.
Actually, getting fired works better.
I can be fired any minute now, because I hope I'm not a product of the. Anyway, what I'm thinking is what I tell my graduate students when they get stuck, and graduate school is a bitch, horrible. Anyway, it's just do it. One of the things we did in 2005, Kelly Halverson was among the founders of She Is Everywhere, the volume 1. It was just the idea that we need thinking of everybody, including academia, students, and community people. And so the first one was born in a woman's sanctuary, first volume of She Is Everywhere, which in a sense says it. And it's an anthology of writing in womanist, feminist spirituality. The second volume just came out. I'm going to send these ones that I have with me around. I also want to invite you, this is supposed to be a way of anybody who has an idea, who wants to write an article. There are 2 volumes presently in the works. One's volume 3 and one's volume 4. I can't give you all those addresses here, but if you just send me anything you want published, I'll see to it that it'll get to the editors of volume 3 and volume 4. Just do it.
Just do it.
Get your PhDs or don't get your PhDs. Whatever you're going to do is do it. One of the things I was thinking about talked about how we get the next generation. First of all, go to the high schools.
Right.
Italians have discovered this is the audience, and as a matter of fact, the good professors like Carlo Ginzburg, you know, just resigned from UCLA and the University of Bologna, and he teaches in a high school. When I speak in Puglia, my audiences are great big, and they're enormous. Teachers make them go for class requirements. You know, in any event, there's some movers and shakers in the south of Italy, and they know this. If you want the next generation to have a notion of your idea, you just get them ignited in high school. Anyway, there are several things I was going to say. I think the most important thing we should be talking about right here is how we have a way of sustaining ourselves economically, to get our ideas in effect, and to have a small just amount of money. Incidentally, Genevieve's idea of, you know, giving away her money, I don't think that was such a good idea from her daughter's point of view. But, I mean, somebody's got to do it. I teach, my husband has supported me, so I use my money to give away, and he doesn't quite understand that, but it works. But for She Is Everywhere, for example, I provide the seed money, which is $1,000 for the volume at iUniverse, and then we all do the work, except that there is a problem that we have not successfully untangled. Some people do more work than other people. This is true of all women's and men's groups.
Right.
And we all have to be aware of that. Anyway, that's all by the by, but I think we should be talking about how we're going to economically sustain our ideas. I think we need a publishing house, or where we can tap into established ones. I think the idea of the Casa delle Donne in Italy is a great one.
Great.
It's not only a sanctuary for women, but it's a restaurant. It's a place where you stay. We need a hotel. We need hotels everywhere that are gift economy hotels, which means they don't make a profit, but they sustain themselves. And I think, you see, we're in a period of economic downturn where women are available to do some of these things. I mean, I think, you know, if we want to start jobs, we just start thinking about what women can do immediately.
Women's hospitals.
That would be another way of like the next conference at a tour site. Incidentally, you get many more women who be delighted to come to a gift economy conference, even if they don't even know what the hell it means. I mean, they just, but tie it to sites that we want them to know about, because that's been commercialized already. But we should do it with the gift economy in mind, where we don't make a profit, but we see to it that's sustained. But I mean, there are all kinds of ways. Anyway, I'll shut up for a while.
That was great. Thank you.
Maria?
C'est Maria.
I mean, I want to bring in the subject which were already mentioned by what academia life is in academia. And but I want to tell you a little bit about where I'm standing at the moment. I have a job within the academia, one of the fixed jobs, 9 to 5, which don't really exist anymore. So but they diminish, in fact, these jobs. But I want to say something about the working world in general, and about feminist theory, what is going on, and what is about women going on in these conditions where I'm working in. First, I'm suffering much about how work is organized, not only in academia, but in all organizations, in policy, in economy. Nice.
Okay.
So what I want to say that not only me, but I think many women are just suffering how work is organized. being at the disposal all the time, answering emails all the time, reading emails 24 hours, being fit for discussions, useful or not useful discussions within the institute all the time. And my time of really going into my subject has so diminished that I have perhaps 10% of the day to work on what I really want to work. And then afterwards I'm totally exhausted. So this is one subject. And the second one is what is going on with feminist theory? What is going on? I don't use anymore, it's quite forbidden to use the word women's studies. I always think everybody's speaking about gender.
Yeah, right.
It's forbidden to speak about women.
Right. Exactly.
You cannot say, if you say women, you are accused of being
Essentialist.
Essentialist, yes. And this is a big issue at the university. I'm in 2 institutes, in fact. I'm in a institute which is interdisciplinary family studies, and I am in political science. In political science, for example, it's forbidden to speak about women. Yeah, there are a lot of gender theories there, about 5 professors, only on gender, you know, or speaking about equality. Okay, it's okay if you speak about this equality story, or speak about the gender story. Never speak about women in general.
Yeah.
And with my institute, it's a little bit more open, let's say. It's more interdisciplinary. It's better than that Institute of Family Studies. So this is the second problem. The third problem which arises, really, I dreamed this night that a woman, she was nearby me, and I had the feeling she's my sister, and she embraced me, and I started weeping. And I really woke up weeping. And then I understood, you know, patriarchal women have always to compete with each other. And I was really not only offended, but I was damaged by other women. They work against each other. They try to avoid to give information to each other. They try to avoid to tell you, you have done this well. You know, there is always this notion of being jealous. There's much jealousy within the women. And I really, I felt that I suffer so much from this. I really, and it weakens me. This year I was 4 times ill. And I mean, it's really growing, you know. It's physically that I feel that. And I see what you have said for mentoring of women. Women don't want to take the role of the mother. They don't want to take it with their students because they have always by themselves, they have the feeling to be always, they have a lack of something. They really feel that very much. They have a lack of something that they cannot give. What they can give, they need. That's why they always need, you know, they need respect. They need more and more peer-reviewed journals to be important, more and more being a professor, because it's better naturally than being an assistant, just an assistant, you know, it's nothing. And so these values, these patriarchal values they have internalized this totally. Even the women who work on women's studies.
They're the worst! They're the worst!
And she said this is a new kind of fascism. What is going on with women?
Yes.
And I felt this because I discussed this with her. She has the same experience in the University of Innsbruck like I have it in the University of Vienna. And we say it's a structural problem. It's really, I think it's everywhere there. It's not that only we feel. And I feel really, I don't know, like an alien, you know. And I I will take a sabbatical from March.
Yes.
This is my first step now to go out and to begin to start thinking new. But this is in fact the problem we have since the beginning of the women movement. Go in the institution or stay outside. What we should do? If we stay inside, they try to corrupt us. They try always to have us. You know, it's like, I don't know, the devil who wants to buy your soul. You know? But or you stay outside, and then they don't ignore you. They say, they ignore you. The one outside. They write a lot of books, but nobody. They are not in university. They are not academics. And this is really it tears me. I feel really in this how do you call this? It's a kind of that's why I feel it really physically, and I feel that it has a spiritual meaning. It's what you have said.
Yes.
It has. It's on spirituality. It's losing energy. It's always on energy. It's always on. Why I go in and I feel so dead after lately on Friday. No, why I don't get anything. I mean, I am devoted to my subject. I want to do something. I want to give something to my students. I want to work on my subject. But there is something totally wrong in it. I don't know how, and this is really my question, how to deal with it. How to, yeah.
A woman's place is in the struggle.
Jen, it's your turn.
Okay. I just wanted to make one comment about, I think that we need to find ways of identifying the sort of pressure points or whatever in the ideology, the patriarchal ideology, and where we ought to try changing it. And I turned on the TV last night and watched a little bit of a discussion of women who were talking about, well, my daughter, I'm the model for my daughter, but my husband is the model for my son. And there's the problem. I'm the model for my son too, is what it ought to be. And how do you change that? How do you make that shift in women's perceptions? And then the second thing that I wanted to say is it must be time for lunch.
Yes.
Well, we can start again after lunch.
We need to get ready to check.
I am asking. Are you sure? Yes. Okay.
I'm not going right now.
I think I'm responding to Mariam and the others who have spoken as well as I can. I think we are not dependent on what patriarchal people, may them be men or women, think about us. We are not dependent on their values, and we are not waiting if they acknowledge us or if they ignore us. We are not longer dependent on this, because women's networks and women's values and gift economy matrix and so on, it's already there. This extreme alternative being in this institution or out, this has been 35 years ago. We started at that. But in the meantime, things have changed a lot. So when you or everyone wants to go out of patriarchal institution, then a big network, a big collaboration is there. This is one, and this is one short point. The other is, we all know that women are now taken into patriarchy in positions and so on. They are feeding patriarchy, as it was just said by Malika Wahu, so that patriarchy starts to become a double face, a male one and a female one, which I think is a very bad and dangerous situation. What to do in this situation? I would like to bring in a suggestion. There were so many wonderful suggestions. I bring in another one. I would not like to speak or to bring my energy to men or women in patriarchy institutions with a patriarchal mindset, because I think this energy would be given in vain. But there are a lot of women in alternative movements. Yes, feminist movement, quite clear, but there's a lot of other movements. We have the ecological movement. There's the movement of the indigenous peoples, which is very important today. And we have, you know many more than I know. And there's the anarchy movement, also anarchy. And or the movement of new communities, or the eco-village movement. Everywhere there are women, and these are very often very strong and very intelligent women. And I think these might be our partners to talk with them. For it's very important, according to my experience, to bring these different movements. They overlap with our gift economy and matriarchal approach in many respects. We have to look where these movements overlap with our ideas, and then to talk with these women, or also men. The men in these movements sometimes, not all, or sometimes are very open, and to bring them together with our ideas. And what I said at the end of my lecture, in these movements is a lot of matriarchal elements, but they don't know. We can bring it to their minds. And it's not theory what I'm telling you now, or try to say I do it already in Germany. I brought together people from the new community movement, and with the conferences on matriarchal studies, I try to bring in indigenous women, wonderful women, also an overlapping. And when I met Genevieve, we brought together our both approaches, and so on. All of this movement and people there have big networks. And I think when we make this overlapping practical, bring them, here, at this conference were Nina Simons. Yes, wonderful. We do it already to bring these movements together by very interesting, important women. And then we can, our networks or our connections can be broadened a lot. And these movements on an international scale include many people, very many people. And they are very active on the international scale, and we are in the midst of them. So I think this might be a way to broaden our own perspectives, to broaden the field of our ideas. We started this discussion with a wonderful term. I wrote it down. The gift-giving matriarchal eco-villages. There's a lot of different movements coming together as a model. It might be only one model, there might be many different models. Yes, I wanted to give this idea.
Gift-giving.
Yes, a gift-giving matriarchal eco-village. For example.
Now I would request you to keep your comments short, Angela, and then Aline.
Well, I haven't really said much, but first of all, I think I have to say that when I met Jen in the Wise Women workshop, I didn't quite understand what she meant by the gift economy. And I started thinking whether there was something wrong with me, because obviously I have breastfed my children and I had given it, but then I just started to make the exercise to see what I was capable of the parting of the things that I really like without thinking a patriarchal way. I mean, if for instance somebody came to this seminar and said to me, "Oh, I like your blouse," so was I capable of saying, if it didn't matter who gave it to me and how much it cost, just have my blouse? Or I like your earrings, or I like your necklace. So basically I did the exercise where I was capable of doing it, and I actually managed to do it. Somebody came to say, "I like your necklace," and I say, "Oh, please have it," and I felt very happy that she had it. The same happened with the jacket I had, different things, and from there I started to think whether the gift economy was possible, but basically we have to change ourselves in a way and stop talking about the patriarchal paradigms that we were used to. I mean, okay, they say to me, "You like my earrings?" Yes, but I say, "Oh, but that cost me, $200. Now, how am I going to give my earrings if that cost me so much money?" So, basically, I mean, was it possible to do that? Then I went with Jen to the temple of the goddess, of the sacred goddess in Nevada. And there we have to give something to the goddess, to give something to the goddess. So, I mean, they say, "Okay, you can give a ring, but then you bring it, you take it back, So somehow, well, do we give it or we don't give it, So basically, based on that idea, I started to think how it was possible to make this really possible in real life. I mean, you know, apart from just thinking, I mean, in this theory, how could we do it really? And how could we make this into something that really worked? And from there on, we started working on the eco-village movement, but based on women, because obviously, I mean, there are lots of eco-villages, but they are not based on women. They are based on families, you know, and many of them are really alternative families who decide to live in a different way, middle-class families, nothing to do with root movements, you know, with grassroots movements. And from there on, we started working on the eco-village, the idea of creating a way of giving through an eco-village based on women. And so far, I mean, we are about to inaugurate our first 41 houses based on the gift economy, because it's based on women, and even the land was given. The houses are free for the women, and basically what we have is an interchange inside the communities. It hasn't been easy because obviously, you know, I mean, there are lots of patriarchal commercial ways. I mean, you know, when somebody says to me, I want to put a shop inside the eco-village to sell junk food, you know, then and they start doing it, then we have to stop it. I mean, you know. So basically, what I want to do, based on what you say about the business of creating different hotels or places where people can stay based on the gift economy, you are welcome to come and stay in the Nachira Eco-Village the next time, because our women have a top room, which is not the most elegant one, but anyways a place you can stay, and there is the first place probably that we can use as a hotel for the gift economy.
We come.
Ali?
We will come.
Yeah. Ali?
Well, after lunch, I nearly have to go. So for me, it's time to say goodbye to all of you. And I want to say that I take a few things home with me, because I cannot stay at the end. Well, to celebrate Mother Earth, to give back the energy to Mother Earth and to our roots, I take home on Mother's Day or in every day, but probably especially on Mother's Day. And then the idea about having the daughters or the younger women under our wings, and that's for me a very important idea. So I take that's the second idea I take home. All kinds of details are not important, but what I want to say is that a big problem in Holland is our health care, because they want to make the young girls, they give inentingen, they give injections for all kinds of cancers, also here.
Cervical.
And they have to be evacuated 2 times, and most of the girls, many girls refused because they were anxious that there were all kinds of chemical things which made them infertile. So, all things happen, and for me it's a big concern to reach the younger ones, and I'm figuring out how to do it. It's still an open question, but take them under the wings is probably a good idea, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to also discuss this mentoring idea, which I think is excellent. Rauna Kuokkanen, whose book you had there, Reshaping the University, she was one person that I brought from Finland to the Gift Economy Network, and I've been mentoring her. And I'm so proud and happy that she is now a professor at the University of Toronto. And I know her family really well, so that's very exciting. Right now I'm doing a form of activism which is under the radar supervision because the university where I used to work as the women's studies professor has slashed the women-dominated fields of, humanities and so on. So some people who knew about me through the elections and who knew my reputation as an ecofeminist contacted me and asked me if I would supervise their ecofeminist pro-gradus or whatever assignments they had. And I had to think about it because of this whole problem with the Patriarchal Academy. But we found a way. They suggested that they would do free research for me in exchange because the system won't pay me anything, obviously. And I said, well, I don't want my name to be on it because I do not want to set a precedent that professors who have been ousted from the system can after that work free. So that's why I call it under the radar supervision. And of course I'm doing it, but it's a form of activism. Of course. And, you know, so the student is doing a bibliography for me on ecofeminism in exchange. So this is a kind of hidden gift economy coming out of a bad situation. But on the other hand, I am also in the need of mentoring, and I just realized it here, because I'm very alone in, I think I'm the only one doing any kind of goddess research on my culture. And I'm in a very tough, you know, I've been mocked and, you know, the same old story as many of you have experienced. And I've been working on this bear thing now for maybe 12, 15 years as a kind of under the radar thing. And I really need feedback because I know I'm into something really powerful. And I'm putting fragments together and bits and pieces, and probably my scholarship is shoddy on some points because I, you know, haven't had any community in which to do this research. I haven't had any feedback. I haven't had any constructive criticism. It's just completely silenced and censored. So I think that it would be great if in this network, the more experienced scholars, you know, that's why I was worried when you were saying that you were leaving, Vicky. The more experienced scholars, it would be so necessary that you would also mentor those of us who are alone and kind of pioneers in our own fields. And I think that it is in the service of the gift economy, because even though it's an academic topic to research the bear religion or whatever, it is also discovering these links that we need to show that matriarchies have existed. And I am sure that the bear cults and the bear religion, the bear worldview, well, it's at the same time as matriarchies, and they are gift circulating societies. So there's a lot of connections we have to work out. So I hope we also take the time to read each other's works. And I have to say, as a thanks, that Malikam's work has been extremely useful to me in this lonely process of figuring out the links. Heide, of course, very much. Jen, of course, very much. Barbara Munn's Iroquois and women just blew my mind and gave me all the new questions to ask. So already I have had an awful lot of help from this community, but I could use with a lot more help.
Sign me up.
And
What's the name
I could sell. I could, instead of selling my book, I could send you the chapters or whatever. The most important thing is that I get, you know, feedback.
What's the name of your book?
Women and Bears: The Gifts of Nature, Culture, Gender. But also I wanted to say that since I'm an unemployed activist, professor, whatever, I have a half a year to go on my, well, actually my unemployment benefits are running out soon, and then I'm down to nothing, no income. And if I can somehow get by for 7 months, then I may be able to get into early retirement with decent benefits, and I could then just focus on the gift and this work and so on. So if you know of any jobs, any, I mean, I don't care about even the salary, it's just that I have to fill that slot so that I'm allowed to go into early retirement. So that's just a need I'm expressing here, in case anyone knows of any.
Stay somewhere for months, you are invited to come to my house.
The vote.
But I need the way it works, I need to have an official salary so to show to the unemployment people. It's a complicated thing. Anyway, the other thing I would volunteer to do is the paper that I didn't give that I was supposed to give was on eco-mythology, which really is about gift-giving peace narratives that we need to replace the master narratives that we've been brainwashed with, folk tales, fairy tales, and so on. So if you have any stories that you think are really good expressions of the gift economy, I could group them together because I'm a folklorist as one of my forms of training. So those collections would also be very important from around the world to overwrite the patriarchal scripts, the epics of conquest and victory and submission and so on. And I have already started collecting from my own culture these stories of the interdependency of humans and animals, and stories that are really completely different in their outcome. And that's the way to mentor the next generation, socialize them, because those stories, the children's stories, what Jen has also produced, they are forming the deep unconscious self in us that is now, in need of change. So
Thank you.
I throw that also as an idea.